Good morning, fourth grade. It's good to see you on day two of our e-learning experience. Seems like we got off to a great start yesterday. It was really fun for me to have a chance to talk with you and kind of work through some issues that you had on your first day of e-learning. I love the emails and the comments on the videos that we had posted so far. So I hope that you enjoyed it just as much as I did. And seems like we're off to a really good start. And today we actually do have a special guest that wanted to talk with you for a little bit. This is a very close friend of mine that we grew up together. Grew up in the same town, and he just stopped by for a little bit this morning. And I asked him if he wanted to share some of his thoughts with my class, and he was so excited to be able to do that. So right now, I want to turn it over to someone who doesn't need any introduction. Hello, fourth grade. I am Iron Man. I've fortunately been friends with Mr. Erickson since our childhood, and yes, we did grow up in the same town. Believe it or not, Iron Man actually grew up in Wyanett, Illinois. And so when Mr. Erickson asked me if I wanted to talk to his class, I was happy to do so. And so I know that you'll listen up to these important details that I'm about to describe. Mr. Erickson, is there anything in particular you'd like for me to talk with your class about?
Well, thanks for being here with us this morning, Iron Man. Just had a couple things to ask you about. Since I know that you're kind of an expert in things like this, how can our students stay organized on Google Classroom?
That's such a thoughtful question, Mr. Erickson. You're always such a thoughtful person to begin with. And I'm glad that you asked this question because I know that this is something that's new for your students in class. And what I helped you to work on this morning was to keep organized by putting different headings into your classwork. So Mr. Erickson's class, what I would suggest that you would do is click on the classwork tab at the top of Google Classroom. If you scroll down, you'll see lots of different headings for the different content areas that he will be assigning to you. And that way, if you want to know where all the math assignments are posted, just look for that math heading. If you want to see where today's the daily attendance sheet is, you can just go down to that heading and you'll be able to stay organized that way. And that way you can look on all of those different headings and remember the color coding. If it's blue, it means it's incomplete. You have not turned it in yet. If it's gray, it means that you did a great job and you've already turned that in. Just make sure that you do all of those assignments daily.
Yeah, that's great information. Do you really think that it matters what order that students complete their work?
It's another very thoughtful question, Mr. Erickson. As it turns out, that on these e-learning days, you get to be the one that decides what order you complete your assignments. So do it in whatever order best suits you and your day.
That's super helpful. Is there anything that you can think of to make taking attendance easier for my students?
Attendance. Now, this is something that needs to be done every single day. Here are my 3 tips to make attendance as easy as possible. First thing is, do it as soon as you log on to your Chromebook. That way you won't forget at the end of the day. So as soon as you log on, do your attendance first. The next thing is, only do it once per day. Now, this might be a self-explanatory thing, but we don't want to make sure that we're putting 2 forms in on the same day. So only take your attendance one time every single day. The last thing that I wanted to remind you of, there is a spot on that attendance form that lets you ask a question. And I know for Mr. Erickson, it might be easier if you just email him instead of asking a question on the bottom of that attendance form.
That's great. I really hope that they take that into consideration. And one last thing that I wanted to ask you about. My students love dad jokes. Are there any dad jokes that you could tell us before you're done?
Oh man, I love dad jokes just as much as the next person, so I have three of my favorites that I'm going to share with you today. The first one is, why are spiders so smart? Well, clearly it's because they can find everything on the web.
Ha 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 ha.
Oh, Mr. Erickson, your voice sounds a little bit different. Uh, did you get something caught in your throat?
Yes, definitely.
Wow, that's something. My next joke is, how do you organize a space party? You plan it.
Oh, better than the first.
Clearly better than the first, Mr. Erickson. I totally agree. Last but not least, why was the robot tired after his long trip? Oh, we haven't got the punchline yet. It's because he had a hard drive.
Oh, I was wondering why that wasn't even that great.
Those are hilarious. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad that I got to bring one of my close friends, Iron Man, to talk with my class. I hope that you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Stay healthy and wash your hands.
Good advice from Mr. Erickson. Thanks for presenting me with this opportunity to speak with your class. Have a marvelous second day of e-learning.